So for a while I've wanted to make this video. Basically, I just want to talk about how I feel about the differences between dissociative visuals and visions and classical psychedelic visions. So the dissociatives that I'm going to talk about right now is probably mainly going to be ketamine, just because that's the one that I've been experimenting the most with. I haven't been using any other dissociatives, so um, a little bit of a background. My friends, they grew up in the rave scene and everything, so ketamine is pretty prominent in that scene. So most of them have pretty easy access to ketamine, and I end up having the same sort of access because I end up hanging around in those crowds. So I'm able to have very or ketamine experiences pretty often. So I'm not someone that injects it that much. I have in the past, a long time ago, maybe once or twice, but I don't really see the need for it because I don't really have a tolerance to it. My friends, some of them do inject it because they actually have developed kind of habitual use or problematic use to it, and that obviously we know that ketamine is being used for treating depression, along with having therapy from someone who's actually trained and knows how to coach people through those things. But it can be dangerous if you're abusing it, because if you have sort of trauma or stuff, you can become dependent on it. So that's another thing that people have to kind of watch out for. For me, I don't really find it to be all that addictive, just because it's not all that pleasant, especially when you don't have a tolerance. It feels like it hits you kind of like a shovel. So through the somewhat or pretty much K-hole experiences that I've had just from snorting it, I've kind of got a bit of a understanding of the terrain of the experience in terms of the visuals and what happens with it. So I want to kind of contrast that with other psychedelics. Kind of what one that would be a good comparison would be probably mushrooms or acid. So I'm just going to kind of use that as a reference. So with ketamine, it kind of puts you into a lucid dream type state in terms of the actual visions. It's kind of like an astral travel into actual rooms that you would believe actually exists. It's kind of like you can navigate through a apartment or someone's home or something. You end up seeing things that are very similar to the world that we live in. I've noticed that the patterning or any sort of geometry that you see in ketamine is very superficial. It never goes beyond more than just kind of pressing on your eyelids until you start to see patterns, and even then it's not very intricate at all. So there's definitely very low level geometry happening in the ketamine experience. So it's more of a lucid dream type thing where you're kind of just projecting yourself into other rooms that are very similar to rooms that you would see anywhere else, but it's not anything magical or anything fantastical that you would see with psychedelics. So if you were to contrast that with, let's say, LSD or psilocybin, with those ones, you're going to have very intricate patterning. More so with psilocybin, because LSD is a bit of a weaker visual experience, based on my experience and based on things that I've read about what other people have to say about it. If you want to have the real sort of the biggest visionary experience and stuff, you kind of want to go for the simple tryptamines like DMT and 4-ACO-DMT and mushrooms and things like that. But with these experiences, the visions tend to be otherworldly, so you're not likely to be having lucid dream experiences of actual places that exist. It's usually the opposite. It's usually visions of things that don't exist or can't exist in this world. And it's almost always very very intricate and highly detailed, and almost as if it's been constructed by a very very skilled artist, kind of like a psychedelic Michelangelo kind of thing. So that's pretty well the contrast that I've seen in terms of the visual qualities. That's mainly the reason why I don't really see much value personally in ketamine in terms of using it as something that I can visit other dimensions, or at least the kind of dimensions that I want. Because with psychedelics, I like taking them because for the artistic side of it, I want to have very beautiful and intricate visuals that I can try to recreate as an artistic piece or a digital painting or something like that. And throughout my exploration with ketamine, I've had no experience where I thought, hey, that would be a great piece of art to make. But with psychedelics like DMT or 4-ACO DMT or LSD, it's very commonplace. It's rare to not have a visual experience where you can say, hey, that would be a great art piece. It's all art. It's completely incredible, amazing, out of this world art that's just of a caliber that is fathomable. You couldn't think about it, or you couldn't think it up in a million years. It's kind of like hyperbolic geometry and fourth dimensional type stuff with intricate patterning everywhere. It's just the ketamine experience doesn't really hold a candle to the visuals on classical psychedelics in my experience. But that doesn't mean that the mental effects and the kind of places that ketamine takes you to is not good or anything like that. It's very beneficial to people. I've had very positive experiences in my ketamine experiences, but I think it has a lot to do with the context that you use it in. Because if you're using it just as a recreational drug and something to get messed up on, whatever, while you're partying, then you're not really going to get the same type of benefit from it than you would if you were just take a dose and kind of lie in your bed and turn off all the lights, kind of like the Terence McKenna 5 dried gram recipe, but only for ketamine. I think that's the better way to take ketamine if you are going to take it. It's not, you're not going to expect the same type of powerful experience, I think. So that's kind of the comparison that I would give to LSD and psilocybin versus ketamine. So, if you're an artist and you want to have very powerful, beautiful visions, then ketamine is definitely not the substance that people would want to experiment with. So that's about it. I just wanted to share that information because I think that it's valuable because I've talked about this stuff before to other people that are psychonauts, and they seem to agree for the most part. So I wonder what you guys think. Do you have a similar feeling about it, or have you seen very beautiful things with ketamine? I'm interested to hear about it. So I'll see you in the next video, and have a good night, guys.